What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review. Not even a review, just a really quick conversation of the Real Housewives of Dubai Season 1, Episode 6. So, what I really wanted to talk about is the relationship that some of these women have with their children. And so, I'm not going to go through what happened in the episode because I really don't care. What I really want to talk about is first what went down at Caroline Brooks' pool party. So Caroline Brooks was hosting a pool party and Caroline Stanberry was there. So Caroline Brooks was talking about how her son is beginning to act out, and there are times when her son will say out of anger or out of frustration, her son will say, I just want to go live with my dad. And Caroline Stanberry said, well, you can just go send him where my kids are at, or something like that. And then somebody asked Caroline Stanberry, oh, are your kids in boarding school? And Caroline Stanberry said, no, but I wish they were. And it was like a little under the breath comment. I don't think she thought anybody really heard her, but I guess the microphone picked it up. And she was being jokey. She was being, sarcastic or whatever. She didn't really mean it. But sometimes, there can be like a hidden truth in what people say as a joke, because we know that Caroline Stanberry doesn't she really struggles with having an emotional attachment or connection with her family. Caroline Stanberry goes on to say that she herself was in boarding school from the age of 6 to the age of 18. And she said that being in boarding school for that long, it kind of made her resent her parents, because it was like her parents just didn't want her around, so they would always send her off to boarding school. And 6 to 18, these are your most formative years. These are the years that shape you into becoming who you're going to become as an adult. So with her being away from her parents for 12 years, I can understand how she never really developed that close bond or that close connection with her parents and any siblings that she may have. So she's got this coldness about her, this distance about her. And even though I know for a fact that she does love her children, when she made that statement, no, but I wish they were in boarding school, it makes me think that maybe she would have preferred to love her children from afar. Like her children, she has children, she loves them, but maybe she kind of sees them as a nuisance, or she kind of sees them as in her way, because she just doesn't have that ability to emotionally connect with people. And she even made a comment that Sergio is very lovey-dovey, very touchy-feely. He's very much about family and love and connection and all of that. And so she made a comment saying it's kind of funny that a guy like Sergio would want to marry a woman like me, who is like the complete opposite of that. She's not about that at all. The whole thing about that's why I guess for her wedding, she would rather sit with her friends than sit with her family, because she has a closer connection with her friends than she does her own family, because in boarding school, her friends were her family. So that was very interesting to me, how just the whole history, the whole discussion about what boarding school did to Caroline Stanberry. It just really caused her to be very distant from people that she has this familial connection with, or familial relationship with. And like I said, I know she loves her children, but I'm pretty sure that I just wonder, I'm not pretty sure, I wonder if if she was able to connect with her own kids, being that, she carried them, she gave birth to them. I wonder if that made it easier for her to bond with her kids than it was for her to bond with her parents, who she feels like just kind of threw her away. Now, that foundation of what I just talked about with Caroline Stanberry is going to be the foundation of my discussion with Caroline Brooks. So Caroline Brooks has a dinner party, or she has a dinner, and she invites her two friends from LA, I think, and she also invites Sarah. And her son also joins them for dinner. So when her son comes to the dinner table, they're eating chicken, and her son he starts to eat the chicken with his fingers. And so Caroline kind of sort of, not really, but kind of sort of jumped on him about that and told him that he had to use his utensils. And I think he was having a hard time cutting the chicken, and so it was easier for him to use his fingers. And so she was just encouraging him, like, sternly encouraging him to use his utensils instead. And then the funny thing is, to help him out, she said, "Do you want mommy to help you cut your chicken?" And he said yes. But instead of her coming to help him cut the chicken, she called her servant to come and help him cut the chicken. And then when it was time for him to go to bed, she said, "Do you want mommy to help you get ready for bed?" And he said yes. But instead of her doing it, the servant came and done it. I don't know if she said, maybe she didn't say, "Do you want mommy to do it?" But she said something like, "Are you ready for bed?" And he said yes. And then she called the servant to come help him go to bed. And Sarah asked Caroline Brooks, "Why don't you help him go to sleep? And why don't you put him in bed?" And she was like, "Oh, no, 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 no. Like, no, we don't do that here," or something like that. And so when her son left the table, the discussion was centered around her parenting. And Sarah and her two friends from LA were both telling her that she needs to spend more time with her son, and she needs to be more of a mother around him, more of a mother to him. And she got highly, highly offended by that. And then she also asked, this is how it started. Before they got on her case about her mothering, she asked Sarah, "What do you think about boarding school?" And Sarah told her, "Well, I don't really hear a lot of positive things about it." She says, "Out of all my friends who went to boarding school, 70% of them are emotionally closed off, like Caroline Stanberry." And she said that, she really probably wouldn't recommend anybody going to boarding school. And so Brooke says that she's doing it more for educational reasons, because she really wants her son to get a good education. And then they show a clip of Caroline Stanberry's confessional where she said that people like Caroline Brooks, who are newly rich, they want to do the things, they want to mimic what other wealthy people do. And so Caroline Brooks sees other wealthy people sending their children to boarding school, but they really don't understand the significance of that or the history behind that. And so Caroline Stanberry said people like Brooks, they just want to mimic what the wealthy do without really giving much thought in why the wealthy do what they do. And is that going to benefit me? Is that a good fit for my life, my family, and what I'm trying to accomplish? And so Sarah was sort of like discouraging her from sending her son to boarding school. And so that's when they started talking about how she needs to be closer to her son. And then her two friends chimed in and said that, you were kind of like a little bit stern with the whole chicken thing, and you're a little bit too stern with that. And then her two friends were like, "We've seen your mom, and your mom seems very warm and embracing." And then that triggered something in Caroline Brooks, because all of a sudden she was like, "My mom was not warm and embracing. My mom was very, very militant." Which prompted Sarah to say, "Well, don't you want to try a different parenting method than your mother's?" And then Brooks was like, "No, because the way my mother raised me made me into who I am today. So I'm going to raise my son the same exact way." And I think that's when the friend and Sarah were like, you kind of come off a little bit cold hearted, and maybe you need to spend, her friend said, maybe you need to spend a little bit more time with Sarah, because, and, pick up some tips from her on how to be a mom, because you kind of like a little bit cold hearted with your son. And she completely went off, and she told her two friends, shut the F up. And she threatened to curse them out. And she was like, "You need to shut up right now before I really embarrass you." And then she just unleashed on all of them. And she was like, "I don't need any of y'all to tell me how to be a mom." And then she got on Sarah, and she was like, "And you, Sarah, you being a mom, you of all people, you should know, that you should never criticize another mother and how they parent." I mean, she was triggered. She completely lost her cool when her friends were pointing out to her that she needs to have a better connection with her son. And the only thing that I can think of when I was watching this scene was like, holy smokes, a hurt dog will holler. She was definitely affected by what they said, which makes me think that there is some truth in what they're saying, because a lot of the times when you react like that, when you have that type of a reaction, when people are pointing out certain things about you, is because you're reacting from a place of hurt. You're reacting because it's like, okay, these people they've noticed my weakness. They've seen what my issue is. You feel very vulnerable, you feel very exposed, and you don't like it. And some people are going to lash out like that. And that's how I saw Caroline Brooks. It seems like this child is being raised by servants and nannies and maids and whoever else, while she is basically like, not, she's not a stay-at-home mom. She does run her own business and stuff like that, but it's like when you are home with your child, you should never call on someone else to do things for your child that you could easily do yourself, especially things that are going to create a bonding experience. For example, like putting him to bed and helping him cut his food. So I think she's just one of those people that, I don't know if she's trying to show off. Like, I don't have to do anything because I have a maid that does everything for me because I'm just that rich. Or I don't know if it's like there's some childhood trauma there where that's like not allowing her to parent, like she's afraid to parent. I don't know. And then when she was lashing out at her friends and telling them to shut the f up and don't talk about my parenting skills, I kind of, and then this is when she said, I'm doing all of this by myself, I am his only parent, I'm doing all of this by myself. I felt like she was actually talking to her ex-husband. Like she probably has a lot of resentment and a lot of frustration towards her ex-husband because maybe she is the primary parent for this child, and she probably feels like he gets off scot-free. He can just throw some money at her to shut her up, and then he can run off and do whatever he wants. He doesn't have to be a hands-on dad, day-to-day dad, a day-to-day parent like the way she is. And maybe she feels some type of resentment about that. So I don't know anything about her history. I don't know how long she was married. I don't know who her ex-husband is. But sometimes I really wonder, like some of these women, and I'm not calling her, I'm just going to use her as a launching pad for what I'm about to say. This doesn't mean that I think she did this, but sometimes I wonder for women who seek very, very wealthy men, and it's all about money for them. They just want to live a luxurious lifestyle. And so they try to, like gold diggers. Okay, let me just say it. For gold diggers, they try to, find very wealthy men to attach themselves to because they want to live that lifestyle. And then maybe when the marriage is, they can kind of see that the marriage or the relationship maybe is falling apart. And they don't know exactly how it's going to play out because, your spouse is extremely wealthy. He has a lot of power. He has access to all kinds of lawyers and courts and judges and whatever else. And you really are beginning to panic, like, okay, am I going to get my fair share when all of this is said and done? So you hurry up and maybe you try to have a baby. Okay, I'm going to have a baby to secure the bag. And so you have a baby not because you really want to be a mother. You have a baby because you're trying to secure the bag. And so now the relationship is over. You're divorced, and he could care less. He's like, okay, here, take some money, go over there and shut up. And now you're stuck with this child. Yes, you have money, you're financially comfortable, but now you have to raise a child and you have to do this on your own. And maybe you start having like resentment about the choices that you made, and maybe you take it out on your kid. I don't know if that was the case with her. I'm not saying that it was, but it makes me think about people who may be like that, who are like, I just want to get me a rich man. Then the rich man don't want you, or you feel like, or he starts cheating on you, and you begin to kind of worry about your future. So like, okay, let me kind of, really lock him in and have a baby with him. Then you have a baby with him, not because you want to be a parent, but then you're stuck with the kid, and it's like, this is not what I signed up for. I was supposed to be child free, living in the lap of luxury with a very wealthy man, living the life of my dreams. And now I'm a single parent. And yes, I have money, but this is not what I signed up for. Because like, how could she just constantly just throw her kid to the maid to do things that she herself is supposed to do? And I don't know if this is like a thing that they do in Dubai or what, but the fact that maybe this is what all the servants do in other countries, but whenever the maids respond to her, like if she says, can you go get me a glass of water? Yes, madam. Madam, yes, madam. And I don't know if that's what they're taught to do, like that's how the maids are trained to do or what, but it's like she just has this air of like, really trying to like flaunt that she's just this high and mighty Queen of England type of woman or something. And I just don't understand why she can't be more down to earth. I just don't understand. But yeah, that was a really sad scene. It was a very triggering scene for Caroline Brooks, and yeah, that was eye opening. That was very eye opening. Yeah, that's all I really wanted to discuss with the Real Housewives of Dubai. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like this content, please subscribe. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.